instituted, protect life, liberty, and property, decided to start taking property and destroying lives, I said no. You may remember one of my businesses, Brewed, the coffee shop in Lexington that refused to shut down in the face of this year's commanders. When the health department came in and threatened me with jail for making a cup of coffee, I found myself on the front line of a battle. And when I looked around on those front lines, I saw people like you standing with me, good conservatives that were fed up. It's because of the work that we did together that Kentucky experienced a great victory. We were the only state in the country that was locked down for Thanksgiving but reopened for Christmas because of the work that we did together. Today, however, we find ourselves on the front line of a new battle. The very foundation of our country, faith, family, and freedom, is under attack from far-left weapons such as the LGBTQ agenda and CRT being pushed through diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. There's one thing I hate more than ideologies that create racial division and tell little boys and girls that they need to change genders. It's when our tax dollars are being taken from us and then being spent forwarding those same ideas. And that's why I'm running for state treasurer. Because every year, Kentucky spends millions of dollars forwarding these ideas. And as your state treasurer, I'll provide exactly what we need in this fight. Somebody who's willing to do the hard work of finding those expenditures and calling them out, so that way citizens and legislators can get it addressed and stop it once and for all. So in May, I ask you to vote for me, Andrew Cooper, the only person who's endorsed by Northern Kentucky Right to Life in this race. I ask that you vote for me, the business owner who's actually handled the payroll before and signed on the dotted line of the paychecks. I ask that you vote for somebody who can stand on their own accomplishments, not somebody who has to co-opt the accomplishments of others, because it's the experience of building a life that teaches us a very important fact. That government cannot replace community, government cannot replace a parent, and government cannot replace God. So please, in May, I ask that you vote for me, Andrew Cooper, so that way we can get our state and our country back to basics, and we can win this battle together. Thanks. There he is.
Great timing.
There he is. Sandra, Sandy, thank you for your time. Get this thing fixed. Folks, I'm Mark Metcalf. I'm running for state treasurer. I appreciate your being here tonight. There's no place I'd rather be than right here. This race is about who will lead the state treasurer's office for the next 4 years. This race is about the future. It's about leadership, and it's about stewardship. I am a leader. I'm a soldier, a combat veteran of Iraq. I'm a prosecutor, a Kentucky prosecutor, elected to 6 terms. I was Kentucky's outstanding county attorney in 2013, and my child support office was tops in the state in 2017. In 1998, I authored the Kentucky Crime Restitution and Reimbursement Act. Now crime victims can collect their losses through criminal liens and garnishments, and jails can make inmates pay for their stays in jail. In 2002, I led President Bush's effort called the Election Reform Initiative. We know it today as the Help America Vote Act. My team worked with Congress to produce legislation that fixed the problem from the 2000 election. Attorney General Ashcroft then placed me in domestic security, and there I saw firsthand what immigration fraud and unsecured borders do to us, and the cost in lives and treasure imposed on the citizens of the United States. I am a steward. Accountability is a watchword in our office, and we finish in the black every year. Over the last 12 and a half years, we've collected $16 million in child support for married moms and dads. We serve the public. We treat others like we want to be treated. In short, we listen, we learn, and we act. As your state treasurer, I'll pay the bills, but not just pay the bills. Using the best technology, I'll single out fraud. I'll single out fraud and I'll prosecute cybercrime. On my watch, the state treasurer's office will never go woke. No ESG. We will call out corporations that would destroy coal, oil, and natural gas, and we will divest ourselves from those interests. Unclaimed property will be returned with the same scrutiny that bills are paid. we will grow our funds to protect and care for those who have cared for Kentucky, so that the inviolable contract between pension and pensioner is kept sacred. Stewardship is more than just counting pennies. It's about keeping the promises of government from one generation to the next. As Kentucky's treasurer, I will not forget that it's your money. And lastly, I'll continue the financial literacy program that Treasurer Ball has done such a great job with. We have much to be proud of. But also our legislators have done so much to save us money in the state legislature. So with that, let me thank you for listening to me tonight and giving me your ear. I ask you on May 16th to give me your voice and your vote so that I can continue to serve you. Thank you.
Oh, I gotta turn the mic back on.
Fourth District, it is good to be with you this evening. My name is O.J. Oleka, and I'm running for state treasurer because we need an experienced conservative who can do this job on day one. But we also need a nominee who can promote the greatness of America and the goodness of Kentucky. My parents came to this country from Nigeria with nothing. They came in 1980, about the same time we sent Ronald Reagan to Washington, D.C. because we needed new leadership. My parents came to this country because they needed new opportunity. It was here that they found it. They worked hard, played by the rules, and my dad worked his way through college and became a college professor. My mother did the same thing and became a labor and delivery nurse. So growing up in our household, the idea of being pro-life was always important to us because my mother would tell the stories of the little babies that she would bring into the world. Which is why I was so honored 2 weeks ago to receive the Right to Life endorsement from the state of Kentucky, because they understand how important we view that issue in this campaign. A professor and a nurse. It was that middle-class life that allowed my parents to buy a house in Frankfort, where I grew up, and put 3 kids through college, and now their favorite, their baby boy, gets to be running for statewide office here in Kentucky. From poverty to prosperity in a single generation. It is the American dream. My parents could have chosen to go anywhere in the world, but thankfully, they chose America. And when they got here, Kentucky chose them. This May, I ask you to choose me to be our state treasurer nominee because I'm the experienced conservative who can lead from the very first day. I spent 4 years working for Treasurer Allison Ball, who has endorsed this campaign, 3 as her deputy, where we work together to protect your taxpayer dollars against waste and fraud and abuse. We open up the state budget to make it more transparent, and we improve financial literacy so high school kids can figure out exactly what they want to do after they graduate. I ask you to choose me, somebody who has been an experienced conservative fighter outside of government as well. I spent 3 years running a higher education nonprofit where we pushed back against Andy Beshear's COVID mandates, keeping our 18 private colleges and universities open, including Thomas More, and we saved 10,000 good Kentucky jobs and kept 57,000 students in classrooms where they belong. We also cut our budget and increased our revenues, all without raising dues by a single penny. When you choose an elected official, you are asking them to be a steward of your taxpayer dollar. I've done it inside of government and outside of government. I've got the record, 10 years of being an executive, making sure I'm protecting anybody's dollars, whether it's taxpayers or donors. So when you're thinking about experience, somebody who is conservative, I ask you to choose me. I also ask you to choose me because I will be a new generation of Republican leader who you can be proud to vote for in May and excited to vote for in November because you feel confident that I can do the job on day one when I take office in January. I ask you to choose me to be your treasurer candidate on May 16th, the same way that my parents chose America all those years ago. And my name is O.J. Oleka. Please vote for me for state treasurer on May 16th. Thank you very much.
Okay, and I am going to turn off the timer, and guess what? It's time for our first drawing of the night. So, to make sure you're awake, I'm going to draw. Okay, so here's the prize. I raided RPK's attic this morning, and I got this cool tote from the 2020 convention that never happened because of COVID. Okay, you know that's going to be worth something someday. And also a 2012 mug. And then if you're the winner, we're going to get you even something even more special, but I just don't know your t-shirt size. So you're gonna let me know your t-shirt size, and you're gonna get a Fire Bashir t-shirt in the mail. How about that? All right. And the winner.
Thank you very much.
Of all these great things is 8161716. Who gets the Fire Bashir t-shirt? Yeah, Fort Thomas Republican. I'm not biased and I didn't rig it. Thank you. No. There'll be more, I promise. Okay, all right, next on our agenda is a very special time for the 4th District because we get to recognize the important folks that we have and the special work that everyone's been doing. So I'm going to turn it over to our treasurer, who really is awesome despite the mean text I sent him today.
How do you guys finish?
Thank you, Sarah. So, Chairman Park was talking about how we were the first district to flip red. And I have the distinct pleasure of giving out the 4th District County of the Year Award. At the end of 2022, this county officially turned red for the first time in its history. The major milestone may seem nothing short of a miracle, considering this county has predominantly always been Democrat. The transformation was the result of dedication and hard work by founding members that included Willis and Rose Barmore and Marvin and Marie Oder, just to name a few. In 2002, the number of registered Republicans in this county was just a measly 16%. The number steadily increased over the next 20 years because of the focused leadership of the chairperson and the executive committee, concerted efforts to recruit conservative candidates to run for office, relentless voter registration drives, active participation on various county-level boards and committees, and a belief that being visible and active in community events is key to win the hearts and minds of this county citizens. The Republican Party now has a stronghold in this county, which is evident by having a Republican sheriff for the past 12 years. And for the first time in history, the county has elected a Republican judge executive, a fiscal court that is comprised of 5 of 6 Republican magistrates, and several other Republican office holders at city and township levels in the county. Despite flipping red and winning many of the county level offices in the past election, they realize that there's much more work to be done, and we'll be working hard to make sure we fire Bashir. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating the Vice Chair of the Henry County Republican Party, Danny Shane.
So while the candidates are beholden to a 3-minute time limit, Sarah did not tell me, so I've got a lot of problems to get off my chest. No, I'm just kidding. I want to thank everybody for being out here tonight. I have the privilege of presenting the award to the 2023 4th District Volunteer of the Year. Okay. The success of the Republican Party and its candidates depends on the strength and dedication of its volunteers. And it's my honor to present the award for this year's 4th District Republican Party Volunteer of the Year to Owen County Chairwoman Carol Shelton. Under Carol's leadership, the Owen County GOP has developed a juggernaut organization, having monthly meetings with an average of 40 people in attendance each month. Carol has helped organize countless candidate forums from Kentucky legislative races to races for local office. Owen County hosted a packed GOTV rally this past fall for Congressman Massey and Joe Fisher. And in June of 2022, through countless hours of hard work, Owen County flipped red. And in November, Owen County, for the first time, elected all of its magistrates and its judge executive as Republicans. Carol goes above and beyond the call of duty, bringing countless others into the fold to make an extraordinary impact, and doing all of it with a smile. Carol is an example for county party leaders and is extremely deserving of this award. And it's my honor to present the 2023 award for Volunteer of the Year to Carol Feldman.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. The winner of this year's Young Republican of the Year award is a name I think most folks would recognize. And while it, for me, may spark a little bit of admiration, I think for several folks in this room it may spark a little bit of fear, and as it should, frankly. The guy is tough. You hear his story, you hear how he's fought just about every day of his life. Frankly, I've never met somebody who has worked harder, who works more hours in a day than our award winner. And that work shows. He put himself through college and law school. He was the state coordinator for Students for RAND in 2016. He was the chair of the Northern Kentucky Young Republicans, raising more money for outreach efforts than any chair in the Northern Kentucky Young Republican history. And he led the effort to restart the statewide Young Republican Federation, a group that would not be in existence today but for him. And he's now representing that organization and the entire Commonwealth as the national committee on the national stage. He's done all of this while working full-time as a lawyer and running his own business. A business, by the way, which has actually helped several of the folks, the elected officials in this room, win their own race. And then, in a few years, when we pass school choice down in Frankfurt, he will be one of the first people that we ought to thank for making that effort possible. No matter what you think of him, he gets the job done. And I said, no matter if you love him or hate him, and she said, that's a little too mean, you should say what you think of him. But frankly, he is what young Republicans ought to be. He's what I want my children to grow up and want to be. He's who I want to be, and he's what young Republicans across the state ought to be. This year's Young Republican of the Year award goes to Mr. Sebastian Torres.
I mean, how lucky are we, statewide office holders? Just so you know, the 4th District is the coolest, okay? If anybody asks, and our parties are wonderful with these type of volunteers. One of the candidates took my script, so things are about to get scary. But that's okay because I have a program, so don't worry. All right, so the next group of candidates we're going to have come up are the candidates for Commissioner of Agriculture. In alphabetical order, you will hear from Richard Heath and Jonathan Schell. Mr. Heath,
That's
Representative
I
Heath.
ran for in 1975. I was only 30.
Thank you and good afternoon. It's good to be back with you again. So I've been asked the question several times since I've been out here meeting people, did I grow up on a farm? And yes, I did. I grew up on a pig farm there in Graves County. That's Western Kentucky. Mayfield's our county seat. I've also talked to some of you that came down and helped us when the tornado came through. So thank you, I appreciate that. In addition to growing up on a farm, after high school, I raised corn, soybeans, wheat, and tobacco. Put myself through college at Murray State University and earned a master's degree in agriculture. By the time I finished college, the farm economy was getting pretty tough, and I went the ag business route. Took a job managing the Graves County Co-op store there in Mayfield. So I not only had the farm background, I had the ag business background as well. In 2012, I ran for state representative, and I'm the first Republican to ever hold that seat in District 2. It's always been a Democratic stronghold, but that has changed. We're getting close to flipping Graves County red. Most of our elected officials are Republican, and it's quite the change from the time that I was growing up. The time I've spent in Frankfort, I've had the opportunity to co-sponsor and vote for all the pro-life bills that we've passed since 2017, and I've also been endorsed by the Kentucky Right to Life. I just passed a bill through the House, House Bill 500, that would prohibit countries like China and like-minded countries that do not have the best interest of Kentucky or the United States in mind. And this bill would prohibit them from buying Kentucky farmland. So we got it through the House, it's over in the Senate. If you have any influence with your state senator in Frankfort, be sure and put in a good word for me. In 2015, Commissioner Quarles and I both ran for this office. We had a really close primary. I got 91,200 votes. He got 92,600 votes. So when you crunch the numbers, I lost by 0.75%. So I waited 8 years for him to turn out, and I'm going again. We have, I've had the opportunity to work with him as chair of the House Agriculture Committee since 2017, and we've worked on legislation together that would affect both farmers and ag business people. I've also had the opportunity to work with the commodity groups around the state, whether it's corn or soybeans or small grains, cattle, dairy, poultry, swine, you name it. We've all had the opportunity to interact and work together. I've served a couple of years on the Kentucky State Fair Board, again giving me additional experience in working with ag leaders across the state. So I feel like I can pick up where Commissioner Quarles left off and carry on and continue the work that we started. So if you're one of the 91,200 people that voted for me in 2015, I'd ask for your vote again and bring somebody with you.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm Jonathan Shell. I'm a fifth-generation farmer from Garrett County, and I am so excited to be in the 4th District tonight. Thank you all so much, John, Sarah, Kashmir, although I don't want my kids to be like Sebastian. I'm just teasing Sebastian. They can do a lot worse. Yeah. Corey, Justin, thank you all so much for putting on such a good event. It is great to be here in Boone County. And Judge, and court, and the rest of the elected officials in Boone County, thank you all so much for being an economic engine for the state of Kentucky. Thank you all. It's good to be in the heart of the Republican Party here in the 4th District. And you all have fought for so many years. In 2012, whenever I became state representative for my district, I was the youngest elected state representative in Kentucky. And whenever I got to Frankfort, all of you all in here will remember this. Democrats controlled the House of Representatives for 100 years. You all remember that? We didn't have a Republican majority. So I went to Frankfort, started beating my head on the table every single day, couldn't get anything done. And so finally our caucus decided to make me the House Republican Campaign Caucus Chair. So I traveled the state recruiting candidates all across the state of Kentucky with the help of many of you all in this room. So many of you all stood up, stepped up, donated, and even ran for office. So that in 2016 we were able to take the majority for the House of Representatives, giving us the first majority in the state of Kentucky in the House of Representatives. And they made me the Republican majority leader for the state. If you all remember back in 2017, after that happened, we started passing right to work, prevailing wage, pro-life legislation, protecting your guns, cutting regulation, making the state of Kentucky one of the most business-friendly states in the entire nation. I'm extremely proud of my record in Frankfort. I'm extremely proud of making Kentucky one of the most pro-life states in the nation, and I'm proud to have the endorsement of Kentucky Right to Life. Whenever I was growing up, I didn't want to be an astronaut. I didn't want to be a baseball player. I didn't even want to be Judge Executive Bobby Hall. What I wanted to be was G.B. Shell, my granddad. My granddad was three distinct things. He was a farmer, he was a ladies' man, and he was a prankster. And my wife tells me every day, thank God you're a farmer because you can't do the other two. But folks, this position is extremely important. We need a fighter as the Commissioner of Agriculture. Washington is radical, and they're trying to take our way of life away from us. We need someone who on a daily basis is going to wake up and fight for three things. I'm going to fight for my family, my farm, and conservative values. We need to get markets in Kentucky, more markets than we have right now for our farmers in the state of Kentucky. We need to be able to get our farmers closer from the farm gate to the food plate so that they can sell more direct to you as consumers. And we need a voice for agriculture in the state of Kentucky that is one that is forceful and powerful enough to be able to go to Washington and fight against all this radicalness that's coming out of the EPA. They're trying to do the waters of the U.S., all these radical things that are happening. And so, folks, I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Again, my name is Jonathan Shell. I'm a fighter for you, and I want to be a fighter for the Department of Agriculture. Thank you all very much. May 16th, Jonathan Shell. Thank you.
Very polite, yeah.
All right, didn't have to turn off anybody's mic. Okay, so now you want to come up, John, and we will recognize our party leaders in attendance.
We are very, very blessed in the 4th District to have a great team of all the Republican Party chairs that lead each one of our counties that are here, the 20 counties we have. I want to introduce every one of them. Would you please stand up when I introduce you, and remain standing, hold the applause until the end, and let's give our county chairs a great round of applause. First up, Boone County, Chet Hand. Some of you don't listen to the instructions. Well deserved. Campbell County, Anna Ziegler. Where is she at? Greenup County, Aaron Thompson. Sorry. Henry County, Danny Shane, the vice chair, standing in for Debbie Feast. By the way, you are supposed to be standing up. If I call the name, it won't be long. Kenton County, Shane Nolan. Owen County, the Chair of the Year, whatever it was, Carol Shelton. Spencer County, Corey. There he is back there. Oldham County, Blaine Anderson, the vice chair, or I'm sorry, the chair, used to be the vice chair, Blaine Anderson. These people put a lot of hours in. I get to talk to them all the time about what's going on in their counties. They do amazing work. Those that aren't here are just as needed, and we appreciate everything that they all do. Would you give them all a round of applause, please? Video. Don't play it yet. We have several video messages from our federal delegation. First up, Senator McConnell. As you're aware, Senator McConnell is currently in the hospital. He fell the other day. He's fine. He's upset that they won't let him out of the hospital. He's doing very well. He and the family appreciate your prayers. So with that.
Our youth chair told us that we skipped the Secretary of State's speech. Should we go back and do that? Okay. All right. Everyone give us grace, all right? But you will hear from Senator McConnell in just a second. Okay. Now, to hear from our candidates for Secretary of State, Michael Adams and Alan Miracle. Come to the stage. I'm going to take this off the screen so you won't be distracted. How about that? Is that good? Okay.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming, and thanks to the organizers. I'm Michael Adams, I'm Secretary of State. In 2020, we learned something. It matters who the governor of the state is. A lot. We learned something else too. It matters who the Secretary of State is as well. In 2020, while other secretaries of state in other states were going the road, not following their election laws, I followed mine. In fact, I did one better. I worked with all Republican legislators to pass Kentucky's first photo ID for vote law, as I promised in my campaign. In 2020, Kentucky was the only state that made fraud harder instead of easier. But that was just the beginning. We have taken 370,000 inactive voters off our voter rolls. Half of them were dead. We cleaned up our voter rolls. We banned ballot harvesting. We transitioned away from electronic voting machines to universal paper ballots. So we have the speed of equipment, but also the security of the paper trail. We've expanded post-election audits. And we've ended 100 years of voter suppression by the Democrats by making it easier for working people to go vote. If you add all this together, I've got the most conservative record of any Secretary of State in America. Now I know what you're thinking. Adams, you got this, you won't have a race. But don't be so sure about that. The left is raising huge sums of money to take out people like me who are on the front lines fighting for election integrity. Remember Amy McGrath? She raised $100 million against Mitch McConnell. Her current vanity project is she's raising and spending money against Republicans running for Secretary of State. And recently, Andy Beshear joined the fray, voting a $2,000 a head of Vanderbilt, Kentucky for the Democratic candidate for this office. The only Republican that can hold this critical position for our party in 2023 is the only Republican who can beat Heather Fitch Henry in 2019. We cannot go back to the lax election rules that we had under the Democrats just 4 years ago. We cannot go back to the bloated voting rules we had under the Democrats just 4 years ago. And we cannot go back to the nonstop scandals that we had under the Democrats in this office just 4 years ago. Allison Ludwig and Grimes left me a broken office, but I've restored integrity to this office and integrity to Kentucky's elections. In 2019, when I ran the first time, I gave it my all. You have my total commitment, but now I need your help. Stand with me, and together we'll defend all that we've accomplished in these 4 years to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. I'm Michael Adams. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm a preacher's kid, so I'm gonna get out of this way. Don't mind. My name is Alan Miracle. I'm a former state representative of the 49th District, which is Bullitt County. When I first got elected, I was the second Republican ever in the history of Bullitt County to win. First as a city councilman at 24, and then as state representative. What makes me different from all the other candidates is I've got a voting record. 100% pro-life, either co-sponsored or sponsored pro-life bills when I was up there. 2, got a pro-gun record because I helped pass the concealed weapons law. And 3, I'm the only one that's actually passed election laws. And I'll give you an example of one of them. Many of y'all take it for granted, but once you're in line by 6 o'clock, no matter how long that line is, no matter how long it takes, you get to vote. Because I passed that bill in 1998, and there was a reason for it. In 1996, I had 300 of my constituents stand in line for an hour and a half, and at 7 o'clock, boom, they cut them off. They didn't get to vote. And that bill specifically helped Jim Bunning win his U.S. Senate seat in 1998. Because from Shepherdsville to Bowling Green, we were still voting at 8 o'clock at night. Remember that? Unfortunately, I don't get to tell one of my famous stories. A lot of the guys are here, so I ain't got much time. But I'm looking into help creating what's called the Election Integrity Task Force. That will be a department that will actually look into every single election issue, whether it's small or large. 2, hopefully I can be able to, with the legislature's help, I'm going to put satellite offices throughout the state of Kentucky. Because as I'm hearing from Western Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky and Southern Kentucky, that it's kind of hard to get through the computer systems or even get to Frankfurt. So they need this help. They need to see a face. 3, I promise after the first 2 months of the session that I will have town hall meetings around the state, 3 to 5 counties every month, because this is how I ended up turning my county from 69% Democrat to 57% Republican. We are now, I think, the 6th or 7th largest Republican county in the state. Took a lot of hard work. Took the elbows to put in the pickleball. For this, I'm going to say something different now. I'm going to stop talking about myself, or Mr. Adams, or Mr. Nipper. This is what's more important than anything. We have to come together and elect this Republican governor, no matter what comes out of this thing. We have got to make sure that we take care of Napoleon Andy and give him his Waterloo. Thank you so much.
Amen. Amen.
This may come as a surprise, but we've got videos from our federal delegation. And before I get to that real quick, unscripted part, I want you to know there's a candidate who's not here tonight. It's a candidate who is a member of the 4th District. Our candidate for Attorney General, Russell Coleman, cannot be with us tonight. I've talked to him about 2 or 3 times this week. He wanted me to make sure you understood why he's not here. He would have been here. He recently fell, has broken his leg. Please be praying for him as he recovers from that. He's good, he's fine, but getting up and getting around is a little bit of an issue. So he sends his apologies for not being here. And I think I can safely say for every chair in this room, every party chair, county party, he's our favorite candidate because he's the only one that we have to go through. He's already our nominee, and we are going to elect him as the next Attorney General. Would you give him a clap? So with that, we do have these, please keep Senator Mr. Conley in prayers as he recovers. And pray for the nurses because he's driving them crazy. He wants out of it and he wants to get back to work. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator.
Hello, my fellow Kentucky Republicans. I'm sorry I can't be with you all in person. It's always a pleasure to reconnect with the people who do so much to support conservative values here in the Commonwealth. This last year, we celebrated a milestone in Kentucky politics. For the first time, registered Republicans now outnumber registered Democrats in our state, thanks to your hard work. As a result, Republicans have a prime opportunity to win races all across Kentucky this November. I know you'll be out in your community to support our candidates because the stakes couldn't be higher. President Biden and his Democratic allies have enacted some of the most far-left policies our nation has ever seen, and Kentucky is experiencing the fallout firsthand. Prices are way too high. Crime is out of control. Our southern border is in shambles. 2 years ago, our economy was ready to soar under Republican majority. Then Democrats took control and ran it right into the ground. They spent us into inflation, and now they want to tax us into bankruptcy. Kentuckians have had enough. Time to take the keys away from these reckless progressives and put the adults back in charge. I'm happy to say we have a full slate of candidates running for statewide office here in Kentucky who can do just that. But they can't do it on their own. We need volunteers like you to come out in droves across our state and swamp the Democrats. We're counting on you to put the liberals back on their heels and protect Kentucky's economy and its values. So thank you for all you do, and enjoy your time together. God bless you all.
Amen.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be with you tonight, but I want to send you a message about what's been going on in the swamp and update you on the fight we face this November. As I'm sure you've noticed by now, the Democrats in Washington are working feverishly to make everyone's life more miserable. Between their spending that's causing the inflation to skyrocket and their failure to even keep our supply chain running just so we can put food on our tables, Democrats are actively making life worse in America. And don't be mistaken by their failures to get anything done in Congress either. Even though they haven't been able to implement some of their worst ideas into law, it's not for lack of trying. If it were up to Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden, the filibuster would be eliminated, the Supreme Court would be packed, and millions of illegal immigrants would be given citizenship and voting today. But along with the rest of our Republican delegation, I have proudly done my part to fight back against the Biden administration and his allies in Congress. Take COVID, for example. The Biden administration and Dr. Fauci are insistent on continuing to lie about the efficacy of natural immunity and the necessity of masks, while at the same time rejecting the science that says we should be getting back to normal. Instead of getting back to normal, things are just getting more absurd. Statements that at one point you would get suspended from YouTube are now accepted as a CDC guidance. A month ago, I said, actually for the last 2 years, I've been saying cloth masks don't work. I was banned, big tech gets rid of me, censors me, and yet the CDC is saying the same thing right now. YouTube censored me 6 months later, no, the CDC now admits that I was right. It's part of the reason why I'm vowed to quit YouTube. I'm fed up with big tech censors, and you should be too. I've also proudly been a leading voice on the need for fiscal responsibility. Not only have I never voted for an unbalanced budget, but I've proposed a penny plan, a reasonable way to balance the budget over 5 years, and a plan to fully fund infrastructure in Kentucky by cutting waste, not adding more to our debt. We've seen what reckless spending can lead to as inflation rates are hitting record highs after spending trillions and trillions of dollars we don't have. It's time that kind of irresponsibility in government comes to an end. We need responsible stewards of our taxpayer dollars, not greedy politicians with pet projects. I understand that's what our Republican supermajorities are fighting for, right here in Kentucky as well. The General Assembly has done a phenomenal job of not only making sure there is a check and balance on this governor, but they've done an incredible job building our rainy day fund and maintaining fiscal responsibility for Kentucky. Andy Beshear might think he's a gift to our Commonwealth, but I think voters in 2023 will be happily sending him and his edicts packing. Kentuckians are flooding into our party because we are the Leave Me Alone party. We don't want to be in your business telling you how to live your life, who you must be afraid of. We trust that you will make the best decisions for yourself and your family. The success we're seeing in voter registration is also thanks to outstanding grassroots leaders. It's thanks to district captains who are going door to door, not just reminding people to get out to vote, but it's important for them to register Republican. And it's thanks to people like you who are showing up at events like this to express your support and get involved. Thanks for allowing me a moment to speak and to represent you. I wish I could be there with you tonight, but I can't be everywhere. I will continue to uphold the Constitution, protect Kentuckians from the overzealous bureaucrats, and defend our God-given rights. Thanks.
Thank you.
Shout out to all you great Republicans there at the 4th District dinner. I am down in Nelson County tonight, the newest county in the 4th District, because of redistricting, they were added. So I thought it was important to get down here tonight. Just want to give you a brief update on Congress. After 10 years of being worried about getting kicked off of my committees, I ended up with 4 committees and a chairmanship this time. I think they're trying to work me to death in D.C. I'm still on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, which is really important to the 4th District, given our central location in the United States and all the logistics and shipping that goes on here. I'm also on the Judiciary Committee, again, this Congress. Very exciting. We have jurisdiction over ATF, DOJ, FBI, so there's going to be a lot of activity there. I'm the chairman of the subcommittee on administrative law, regulatory reform, and antitrust. When Jim Jordan said he wanted to chair a subcommittee on administrative law, I said that must cover about 90% of the government. It turns out it does cover a lot of government. We're going to have some exciting hearings in there. Can't wait to show you what we're working on. And I'm on the select subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government. You've heard me talking at a lot of dinners about these 3-letter agencies that are like pet snakes. We feed them, we fund them, And then we wonder why they bite us. Well, we're going to go into those into those agencies and find out what's really going on. And finally, this is really consequential. It's a little bit of inside baseball, but I'm on the Rules Committee. Now, there are only 13 members on the Rules Committee. There are 9 Republicans and 4 Democrats. And Chip Roy, myself, and Ralph Norman secured seats on the Rules Committee. Every bill that goes to the floor of the House of Representatives goes through the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee decides the rules every week. So, for instance, how long we'll have to read the bills. We're going to insist on keeping the 72-hour rule, which has been broken for as long as I've been in Congress. We're going to insist on maintaining at least 72 hours for everybody to read bills. We're going to insist on germaneness. Amendments have to be germane to the bill. You can't just add anything willy-nilly to a bill. And we get to decide which amendments are going to get votes and which ones are not going to get votes on the floor of the House. Again, these won't be amendments to add things that have nothing to do with the bill. We're going to enforce as much as we can, having one topic for each vote. So there's a lot of work to do there in the Rules Committee. I'm excited to be on it. And finally, I got a bill passed last month. We're ending the vaccine mandates, Joe Biden's vaccine mandates. So many of them have been struck down in court as unconstitutional. We got my bill to end the vaccine mandate on members of the military. That actually went in the omnibus last December. But the bill that I got passed last month is H.R. 185. Please look it up. It would stop the vaccine mandate on legal international travelers to the United States. So if you are apprehended at the border as an illegal immigrant trying to come into this country and our government releases you back into the country, into our country, awaiting your hearing, and most people don't show up for that hearing, there's no vaccine mandate. There's no vaccine mandate on illegal immigrants. But Joe Biden still has a vaccine mandate on legal visitors to the United States. So it's ridiculous. There's no science behind it. We're one of the few countries in the world that does this. Almost any country you can name doesn't have this vaccine mandate. So we need to get rid of all of these vaccine mandates. This has been an issue of mine. This passed the House with Republicans, 201. I think Democrats voted against it, but we got 7 Democrats for it. So we need to get this bill passed in the Senate and sent to Joe Biden's desk. Oddly enough, he did not issue a veto threat on this bill. So I think if we got it on his desk, he would accept it as law. So that's just a few of the things that I'm working on in Congress. I hope you'll have a great time this evening. We've got a lot of great speakers. And pick us a good governor candidate in the primary because we need to get rid of Andy Beshear. Thank you and God bless.